Hello dear viewers, welcome to my channel on table board games. I usually show new board games here and today will be no different. In a moment you will see Black Rose Wars Revised Edition, so I invite you to see the components of the Black Rose Wars board game in the latest 3rd Revised Edition. So what does this board game offer you? In this board game, players take on the role of mages. There are 4 of them in the basic game. Each has different stats and special abilities. If you are familiar with the 1st edition of Black Rose Wars, you will surely remember Rebecca, Nero, Tessa and Jaifar. Each of these 4 mages has their own spell cards, which are included in the starting deck. Each of the mages is also represented by a miniature of their character. The miniatures are in a color that distinguishes them from the other miniatures in this board game. The miniatures from the new edition of Black Rose Wars are almost identical to those from the first part of this series. The only difference is the size of the base. As I mentioned, each mage has spell cards, but there are more spell cards in this board game. The magic spells found on each card are specified on the magic school cards. On the other side of these cards are short descriptions characterizing a given school of magic and its effects. At the beginning of the game, players draw spell cards from specific magic school deck and thus create their initial decks, which they can develop during the game by drawing new spell cards. So after choosing a character, players place their card on the player board. Each player has their own set of bases in their chosen color, bases for a mage and for evocation. The spell cards in this board game are divided into 2 parts, which is characteristic of this board game. So when playing an action, the player must decide which one to use. After that, place the covered cards on the player's board and reveal them when performing the action. In the Black Rose Wars board game, the mages move around a modular map that we built from room tiles. The new edition of this board game features the same rooms as in the first part, which refreshed graphics. In this part of the Black Rose Wars, we will destroy each room by placing cubes of our color on the track at the bottom of the tile. The more cubes a player places there, the more points they will earn. So we have a race between players and competition for every winning point. In addition, each room has its own unique ability that each mage can use during the game. The capacity of the given room is specified on the room activation token. Such tokens already appears in the second part of Black Rose Wars, in a Rebirth. Here you can also see the scores from destroying individual rooms. Each activation token must be placed on the assigned rooms before the game begins. Before you start playing, each mage must be placed in their room from where they begin the game. As I mentioned, during the game, mages will move to different rooms in the Black Rose Wars Lodge and use various effects from that room. At that point, the activation token should be flipped over. When players manage to completely fill the track at the bottom of the room tile with cubes, after awarding points to the players, the room tile should be turned over to its destroyed, inactive side. Until the end of the game, you will not be able to use these effects from such a room. In this board game, players will not only fight each other, but also fight with evocations. Their miniatures are almost identical to those from the first part of Black Rose Wars. What distinguishes them are the bases, which do not have 3 holes for tiny rose markers, as was the case in the first edition of Black Rose Wars. In the revised edition of this board game, players mark their evocations by placing a colored base on them. You probably know the event board in this form from the Black Rose Wars Rebirth. In the new version, only its color has changed. So here we will discover new event cards depending on the phase of the moon and consider their effects. Subsequent event cards drawn from the deck should be placed on the appropriate space on the track and move the previously drawn cards. What will appear on the new event board is a space for discarded quest cards. The quest cards themselves have also been redesigned. In the reverse part of the Black Rose Wars, players will place their cubes on these cards to mark the level of completion of a given quest. Completing a quest will give the players a reward, some kind of effect and victory points. Quest cards that players do not complete are discarded onto a new space on the event board, and the points from these cards will count in favor of a Black Rose. Now take a look at Slenderman's card. Avatar command cards determine the avatar's possible behaviors, spells, physical actions and traps. So place the avatar card on the avatar board when preparing the game. The command card deck placed on the avatar board below. This card counts as an avatar's Grimoire and avatar hand. However, there is something new in the Black Rose Wars Revised that was not in the Black Rose Wars Rebirth. That's slot for avatar activation tokens. So depending on the difficulty of the game, a certain number of tokens are used. After activating the avatar, the token must be turned over to its inactive side. Finally, the power board, which looks the same as in Black Rose Wars Rebirth. Quest cards will appear here, depending on the phase of the moon, as well as the Evocation card deck. A new feature is the upgrade card deck, which was already present in the second part of Black Rose Wars, Rebirth. Additionally, there is a new jink cards deck. Jink cards introduce new states of the game. Upgrade cards are attached to Evocations. So this is what the prototype version of Black Rose Wars Revised Edition looks like. Thank you for your attention, stay tuned for more content and see you next time.